This is your fucking legacy. It's simultaneously so funny and so sad. All right, everyone, we're gonna time travel a little bit. We're gonna have to learn some things first. We have to do some research before we go all metal, because I want to go metal with y'all, you know. But I also want to take you on the way back machine. It's gonna be fun. So, was anyone here old enough to know what a 14K, yeah, 14.4K modem was like? Did you ever have one that slow? It meant that it could transfer 14 kilobits per second. 14 kilobits. Well, what about a 56K? That was your rich friends. Your rich friends probably had a 56K modem. That one could really fly. You sometimes get like, you know, 1.2. I one time had 3K downloading speed. I remember I was like, 3K downloading speed. This is the future. Look at that. I'm only a couple hours away from seeing my titties. Nice. Oh, here they come. Oh, these better be good. I hope they're good. These are shitty titties. This was time wasted. But don't you worry. Yeah, they're okay. Okay, we'll do that. Twill serve. These titties, they'll serve their purpose. Anyways, it was around that time of dial-up modems when you know, high-speed internet was just starting to appear that we being us millennials got Napster. And Napster changed the game. I know the idea now of having music that isn't paid for on a subscription service cloud, which is strange that ended up winning. That Spotify won over illegal downloading. But anyways, back then, the idea of having any song that you thought of at your fingertips in a matter of an hour was very novel. It was really cool. All of a sudden, it's like, holy shit. So was the idea of burning CDs. Like, if a friend had an album, he could give it to you, and then you burnt it. I know they had cassettes before this, and I know some of you are going to be like, you know there's 8-track burners, Nance? And I'll be like, okay, sure. Maybe I didn't have the laser discs to Blu-ray your beta VHS. Fine. I'm talking about, this was in my high school days, okay? This was wild.
College students are making good use of the internet. The latest software makes it a bit too easy for students to access their favorite tunes.
The main challenge was, can this thing scale to a massive number of users? And I just thought, okay, if this piece of code works, this is going to be huge. And I had a moment there where I asked myself, is it morally correct? Technology is advancing. This is gonna happen anyway.
You have a generation of people now who expect their music for free.
Don't care how wrong it is, I've got good intentions.
It's very difficult to change.
That sound.
In 1998, at Northeastern University, a freshman, Sean Fanning, began developing a computer program called Napster in his dorm room. He asked for help from Ali Idar, a veteran programmer he knew through his uncle.
And my response to him was, you need to just concentrate on your studies.
Fanning didn't follow Ali's advice. He dropped out to focus on the program and partnered with fellow teenage programmer Sean Parker to release a beta version. As it started to spread through chat rooms, they traveled to the Bay Area to grow the business.
Initially, I was skeptical that, gosh, I'm sitting across from two 18 or 19-year-olds. I changed my tune once I learned that there are already 40,000 people using this thing.
It was one of the first large-scale peer-to-peer file-sharing programs. It allowed users to access music files stored on the hard drives of fellow Napster users.
40,000 wasn't a big number, but it was bigger than what I thought it was going to be initially, which was 0, because people weren't willing to open up their hard drives. What I realized was that people's emotional ties to music, their general interest in music, was more than enough to overwhelm any kind of security or privacy concern.
And in the 90s, consumers' emotional ties to music equaled big money. No one batted an eye when Puff Daddy's record label made 2 music videos featuring elaborate helicopter chases in consecutive years.
True.
The CD boom was from
the heavy
84 to
handshake,
2000.
thank you.
You actually had to drive your car to the Tower Records and buy a CD for $18 to get the one song you liked. And so that was a good model. It made the industry tons and tons of cash.
Selling millions of Chumbawamba albums with one good song was an economic boom.
That was pretty much the end of that era because very soon afterwards, Napster really took hold in the public's consciousness, and the consumer realized that they could get the music that they wanted to hear for free.
It was on college campuses with high-speed internet that Napster really took off in the fall of '99.
Yeah, baby.
So how many MP3s do you have on your computer? About 600.
Maybe like 100 or something.
6 or 7,000.
Napster.
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 It's called file sharing, seen by some as the wave of the...
And by the way, this is why when the first iPod came out, and it was like literally a brick, it was like this giant, thick, white brick, it was so revolutionary. There had been portable MP3 players before, but now you could take all of your illegally downloaded Napster files, they were called MP3s, and then you download them onto this little cube, and then you have all your music on this cube. It was really a marvelous rectangle, it was, when it came out.
It was very exciting. We knew we were building something that was going to be big.
Ladies and gentlemen, creator of Napster, Sean Fanning.
When I first heard about Napster, I recall my impression having two different elements. One being, this is incredible, it's revolutionary, and things will never be the same again in the music industry. And the other being, this is going to destroy the recording industry.
No longer do you have to go to a store and plunk down money.
And so, months after Napster's rise, the recording industry began a long legal battle to stop it.
They're waging a war in the courts over who controls what artists create.
I hope they're gonna mention Metallica, because Metallica, oh man, they were front and center for this shit. Metallica was the face of the anti-Napster movement. They were the ones screaming, and their cries, they sounded very reasonable at the time, right? It was basically, don't you know that if you do this, yeah, oh, if you do this, then the music industry will collapse because there'll be no money to support artists. What they weren't revealing to you is that the music industry is a fucking ghoulish nightmare of a corporate institution where the money from your sales don't go directly to the artists. A very small percentage goes to the artists. It's usually big old corporate executives exploiting artists and promising them fame. And yes, there was fame for some, a very small percentage of them, but for the vast majority, it's just about the record sales, baby. Just about the money.
We've heard that we couldn't survive before, when we had 700,000 members, and when we had 17 million members.
We felt pretty strongly that digital distribution was going to bring the industry closer to its customer. And instead of killing it, they would take advantage of the value that it brought.
But to record companies whose artists range from Tony Bennett to Metallica, this new technology in the wrong hands is simply stealing.
At the time, the Recording Industry Association of America was reporting about $15 billion a year of revenue in the US alone.
Anybody with enough money could go and make a record. But that didn't guarantee you getting into stores, which was the only place that you could actually buy that record. That was the power of the music business, the distribution.
The issue made its way to Capitol Hill.
Napster hijacked our music without asking.
A chorus of studies show that Napster users buy more records as a result of using Napster.
Hank Barry, a lawyer, came on to act as CEO as the fight intensified.
We were trying to negotiate with the labels. We were trying to fight the court case, and we were trying to keep the system working all at the same time. We had a limited amount of time to make that happen, and we just didn't get that done within the period of time that we had.
The free music service run by Napster was ordered to stop the music.
In July of 2001, after more than a year of legal battles, the internet startup, which at its peak had about 70 million registered users, shut down its entire network in response to court orders.
We accurately estimated that the courts would say, you just don't have the right to give away all this stuff. And so we were perhaps a little smug and confident in the belief that, well, the courts would say it's not that and people would stop doing it. We didn't really factor in the consumer adoption, the youthful lack of respect for copyright, and the anonymity would combine to make it pretty unstoppable as a model.
The industry may have crushed Napster, but the idea had taken hold, and a flurry of other downloading services took its place.
Come on, Limewire.
And it's easy, and you know, it's wrong, yeah, but
So Limewire kicked things up a notch, and I'm going to keep telling you about the good old days of the internet in the 90s. See, Limewire came along, and Limewire, well, that allowed you to download anything you wanted. Heavens, Betsy, you could download everything. Mostly viruses. It was mostly just really efficient at downloading viruses. You would really fuck over your parents' computers if you used it. You just ravaged them. So many viruses, just the weirdest viruses. So many, like, they'd turn it on to do their daily work. It would just be like, oh, hello, Mr. Anderson. Would you want penis pills? Does your dick need pills? Do you need more pills for your dick? Pop-ups. I was like, what the fuck is this? What did you do, son? What did you do to my computer? This is definitely a story that happened to a friend of mine. Not something I had done. That I didn't do that. But I'm just saying it can happen to anybody.
Desperate to stem the tide, the labels upped the stakes and sued almost 20,000 people for using illegal downloading software.
Legally downloading music is the same thing as going into a CD store.
Oh, I remember that.
But CD sales continued to plummet, shuttering record stores across the country.
An industry in turmoil.
So when Steve Jobs came to the table with plans for a new online music store, the major labels finally surrendered the thing they had fought so hard to maintain, the distribution.
You had only two choices. Either you don't do a deal with Steve, in which case people continue to just email the MP3s to their friends, or you do a business with him and he has a store and then you can sell things.
This week, Apple Computer launched its iTunes music store, and they are hoping that this is an answer to some of the piracy that is going on online.
Over the next several years, digital sales boomed.
More than 3 billion songs.
But today, even the iTunes model is threatened by the shifting sands of music distribution. Download sales are declining as online streaming services like Spotify gain.
And Spotify and other streaming services are wonderful. They're great because at the end of the day, they only have to pay the artists like pennies on the download. We're talking fractions. We're talking, you know, millions and millions and millions of plays, and still they get crumbs, virtual crumbs. Well, this massive company sees record profits.
And as the industry reels, corporate brands see marketing opportunities, with the energy drink company Red Bull even starting its own record label.
Who knows 5 years from now if anybody's going to buy music anymore? But maybe they are streaming it, which you see on the Spotifys and the YouTubes of the world. Those numbers keep going up and up and up.
A recent study found that the most popular way for 12 to 24-year-olds to discover new music is the online video website YouTube.
It used to be...
You don't have to say the online video. Everyone knows what YouTube is.
be easy to shut down.
But after legal challenges, the company emphasized its efforts to try to stop infringement, offering the copyright owner the chance to take a video down or run ads against it.
The growth of music on YouTube has been 100% organic and driven by the community, by artists, by fans. The part that wasn't organic was YouTube's partnering with the music industry to enable the usage of copyrighted works.
Some in the music industry say the money-making potential of YouTube has yet to pay off for many artists. But today, the industry is largely embracing online platforms and their communities as a form of distribution that can't be ignored, and they're not the only ones.
Many, many records are made by people in their garages, basements, or bedrooms, and the distribution is there. They'll make a video, they'll stick it on YouTube, and if it's good, people will find it.
If it's good. Oh, thanks. Thanks, no Ray. I can't watch an entire other documentary on Napster. I did want to get to, I think there's some video footage I have here of the history and in the direct attachment affiliation of Metallica.
Welcome back to Metal Injection's Countdown. On this edition, we'll be revisiting the most shocking moments in heavy metal history. From murders and lawsuits to animal decapitation, our esteemed panel of metalheads will look back at the 10 most controversial moments in metal.
How much animal decapitation has been going down?
Legally, in a legal form, but at the same time, which is becoming increasingly important to us, is to try and get this debate out into the public forum, to try and make people understand what's at stake here and what the ramifications are if this is not something that's dealt with and sort of guided into some sort of, with some sort of parameters that makes the artists, the service providers, and the fans out there happy.
That was the moment that ushered in like the digital era of music. You know, Napster was this big scary beast changing and threatening the record industry, saying, okay, people can now get music for free.
That was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because I did not know what Napster was before that. And then I was like, holy shit, there's all, and I already had the Metallica albums, right? So I didn't need to re-download those. And suddenly there was a world of music at my fingertips.
Some bands had to stand up for their copyright. And on the hip hop side, it was Dr. Dre, and on the metal side, on the rock side, it was Metallica. And they went after Napster, which was a startup at the time trying to legitimize what they were doing, and they sued them and they won.
Popular internet sites for downloading music. A federal court ruled Monday Napster must stop allowing music fans to swap copyrighted material.
On one hand, it's an artist, you know, trying to make their money from what they think is their labor and, you know, their work.
I think we got a lot of laughs out of it. Simply based on the cartoons and everything.
Unless you download it until it sleeps from Napster. Then you're going to motherfucking jail. You're motherfucking meat. You'll be some fat, greasy, tattooed bastard's buttery cornhole. Who do you think you are? I mean, just, you know, because you, like, made us rich, you think you can get free stuff? Songs that we spent upwards of, you know, like 24 to 48 hours writing and recording? I mean, James blew up for you. He ignited into a fiery inferno for you people. Fire bad! Fire bad!
Even today, you know, I post a picture of Lars and me at the Apollo Theater after a badass interview, and the comments are still, fuck you, Lars, and fucking nap, you know, it still comes up.
You know. That's funny that that became your legacy at the end of the day. That's really funny. Like, everyone remembers you as the shitty people behind taking down Napster. Well, one of. Like, it's a really tough thing for me because on the one end, I think ultimately, you know, we live under capitalism. You have to make a living, and every single one of you should be compensated, especially if you're an artist. It's really, really hard if you're an artist to find people who will compensate you for your art and or not try to take advantage of you. I've known that in like almost every different facet of the entertainment industry that I've worked in. Every single one of them, it's like 99% sharks, people trying to exploit you, and like 1% genuinely like nice and friendly people trying to like, you know, help you out and grow. Well, at the same time, the money from the sales of Metallica, who by the way are just extensively super rich celebrities at this point, right? A lot of the money from these labels, it's going to the record labels themselves, not to the artists. The smaller artists are being exploited. It's not like Metallica or any of these other bands started like some great foundational program that was going to uplift a whole bunch of smaller artists. The whole name of the game was always find someone you think is going to be talented, sign them, and then you own them, and then you try to like churn out as much profit from them as possible. Find talent, churn out profit, squeeze them for all they're worth until that contract runs out, and by that point, hopefully, they're famous enough that they know that they have to find a better manager or agent to be able to try and battle you back and forth in some kind of tug of war. Ultimately, a lot of what happened with Napster ended up leading to the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Let's Wikipedia Andy this for 2 seconds. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA, is a 1998 United States copyright law that implements two 1996 treaties of the World Intellectual Property Organization. It criminalizes production and dissemination of technology, devices, and services intended to circumvent measures that control access to copyright works, commonly known as the Digital Rights Management, or DRM. It also criminalizes the act of circumventing and access control, whether or not the actual infringement of the copyright itself. In addition, the DMCA heightens the penalties for copyright infringement on the internet. Passed on October 12, 1998 by unanimous vote in the United States Senate and signed into law by President Bill Clinton. Fuck you. On October 28, 1998, the DMCA amended Title 17 of the United States Code to extend the reach of copyright while limiting the liability of the providers of online services for copyright infringement by their users. The DMCA's principal innovation in the field of copyright is the exemption from direct and indirect liability of internet service providers and other intermediaries. This exemption was adopted by the European Union in the Electronic Commerce Directive. So it's spread worldwide. Now it's like just the global dominant force that is controlling our lives. One of the shittiest things about this, and I'm sure a lot of people know this from watching like lots of Twitch. All of you probably watch the Twitch platform because you enjoy it, right? You probably noticed in the last year, shit has gotten real bad with this kind of stuff because Twitch is no longer taking any chances. Let's just say that. It used to be Twitch had a system, and to be honest, in my opinion, it was novel. They would mute anything that their algorithm automatically detected in streams that had copyright music and material in it. That was a great idea. All right, it's basically like, all right, we acknowledge that someone is playing copyright material. What we're going to do is we're just going to silence it. We're not infringing on the copyright. Neither is the creator. Neither is our networks anymore. And then they're just free to go about their thing. Now they're doing this thing where if it doesn't mute it, they can actually detect within your old streams if you were using copyright music. And if you've done that, if there is a DMCA strike given by on high by one of the record companies that owns the copyrights to that original song, then that will be forwarded through, and it'll either affect your channel or you'll have to be involved in a legal battle or something like of that nature. This is terrible, specifically for video game streamers on a platform filled with people who want to play video games. Because guess what? Modern video games have modern soundtracks to them. They contain copyright music. So now there's a danger. There's a danger to such a point that if you're playing a game, some modern games have to have a DMCA like button, and even then, Cyberpunk, even then, sometimes there can be a copyright song in the soundtrack that could affect your live stream. So people have had to go back into their old VODs, delete their videos. It's been an absolute nightmare. It's been probably one of the worst bungles of a situation that directly involves a bunch of users, but instead of caring about their user base, their content creators, the ones that are actually generating the revenue for these companies, they've decided to side with the DMCA and do as they wish and please within their networks. So that leads us to this fucking hilarious disaster. Twitch dubbed over Metallica stream, and the internet thinks that's a shame. The Amazon-owned streaming platform Twitch made a mess of things Friday during a live stream, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer band, specifically Metallica, known for, amongst other things, its 2000 lawsuit against the music sharing service Napster, and was streaming a concert for Blizzard Entertainment's annual news event, BlizzCon, when Twitch Gaming dubbed over the heavy metal with what sounded like elevator music. Because Twitch wasn't taking any chances. They're like, fuck it, we're not gonna be getting a strike. This is your fucking legacy. It's simultaneously so funny and so sad. Let's see if I can grab a longer one. Good pick, by the way, Twitch. Well done. I love the comments, by the way. Like, is this for real? LOL, DMCA, so stupid. Which keck? So much keck. We did it, boys. What a disaster. This is my jam. Disaster, god awful. What is going on? Is this the future? This is so sad. This is the future. Like, you know that whole Ghost of Christmas Past, Ghost of Christmas Present? Like, they should have done this. They should have done this to Lars Ulrich and the rest of the Metallica team and been like, this is what the fucking future will be if you just start enforcing copyright the way... If we let some giant government body dictate the way this works, this is the future. Oh, it's absolutely hilarious. It's hilarious more than anything because of the fact that, like, you did it to yourself, you know? Like, at the end of the day, this is your own doing to a degree. But yes, ultimately, horrifying. Horrifying. I don't want to live in this dystopian nightmare anymore. All right. I like. It's both funny and tragically sad. Unbelievably sad. I'm gonna do something here. Maybe I'll make it better and I'll dub over this with Metallica's most famous songs. Let's see. Just cue this up. I gotta do it with chiptune. But if I sing it with chiptune, it should be totally fine and it'll fix everything. Ultimately. All right. So I'm gonna sing Metallica's most famous song. I'm gonna dub it over. With the original broadcast to right the wrongs of the universe and finally put a bow on this whole thing. The world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kinda dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well, the years stop coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules and they hit the ground running. Didn't make no sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart but your head gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back streets? You'll never know if you don't go. You'll never shine if you don't glow. Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on. go play. Hey now, you're a rock star, get the show on, get paid, and all that glitters is gold. Only shooting stars break the mold. It's a cool place, and they say it gets colder. You're bundled up now, wait till you get older. But the media men beg to differ, judging by the hole in the satellite picture. The ice we skate is getting pretty thin, fucking up. The water's getting warm, so I'm not doing Metallica right. The world's on fire, how about yours? That's the way I like it, and I'll never get bored. Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock star, get the show on, get paid, and all that glitters is gold. Oh, shooting stars break the mold. I think that's appropriate. It's appropriate. It's an appropriate way to end this. If you want us to advertise your channel or work, please go to weareserfs.com and email us a 20 to 30 second ad, and we'll take it on to the end of one of our videos to help promote your leftist channel or progressive something. Whatever you do.
To our gods, Anra, Xander Corvus, Schlatsky, we look to the stars for your divine guidance. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are merely puppets for your amusement. To our lords, Trevor R., Alexander Thaler, Hans Josephine, Ryan Lubin, Jimothy K. Meeblebeeps Jr., Bisexual Black Gamer, and Tofox, we shall carry your banner into the fog of war. To our Knights of the Round Table, Josh Mickelson, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Political Puppy, Jimmy Bignuts, Andreas Chiringuito, Yoppie, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Thomas Barrington, J. Fraser Cartwright, Goofalankius, Melissa Murphy, Nicholas Marks, Radical Maniac, The Great Pudini, Kale Kotka, Anthropophagic, Serene 42, Chronic de Hemphog, Phone Jenny, Incosin, Constance Joyce Lacheris, and Ramon Acosta, we drink with you and we salute you.